Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're actually going to flip the script. Instead of looking at your network from the comfortable, safe view of the defender's chair, we're going to adopt the persona of an opportunistic, highly motivated attacker. So, put on your black hat with me because we are going to uncover the massive blind spots hiding right there in your digital footprint, and I'm going to show you exactly how they get exploited.
I don't attack your fortress. I look for the back door you forgot to lock. I mean, really, think about this for a second. As an attacker, looking at your enterprise, I'm not going to waste my time banging my head against your $1 million, heavily fortified internal firewalls. Why would I? I'm looking for the forgotten digital infrastructure. You know, the abandoned staging environment, the orphaned marketing site, the unsanctioned developer tools. I operate in the shadows of your organization's sprawl, completely out of sight from your core IT team.
So, let's dive into this. Ask yourself right now, what does your digital footprint actually look like to an attacker, especially compared to what your CISO sees? Because let me tell you, there is usually a terrifying disconnect. Your security team, they see a clean, organized map of approved assets. But me, the adversary, I see a chaotic, ever-expanding web of decentralized cloud accounts, unmanaged SaaS platforms, and third-party vendors. I see exactly what you've lost track of.
Which brings us to Phase 1, the reconnaissance, looking from the outside in.
This is right where my heist begins. It's a stealthy, totally methodical process of scanning your vast, unmonitored external attack surface. And honestly, this beautifully illustrates why I'm so successful at what I do. You see, most defenders rely on legacy external attack surface management, or EASM platforms. But here's the fatal flaw with that. Those legacy tools rely on internal seed data, things like known IP ranges or registered domains that someone has to manually plug in. They literally only look where you explicitly tell them to look. But I don't play by those rules. I hunt from the outside in, completely unauthenticated. I'm scanning for rogue infrastructure spun up by your marketing or dev teams way outside those known boundaries, right where your legacy tools are fundamentally blind.
Moving right along to Phase 2, the gold mine, hunting for shadow IT and shadow AI.
Once I've mapped out your blind spots, my automated agents accelerate to machine speed. This is where the thrill of the hunt really kicks in. And trust me, my wish list is terrifyingly specific. I'm not just looking for open ports anymore. I want the decentralized tools that completely bypass your main security checkpoints. We're talking an abandoned Zendesk portal your support team forgot to close, an exposed API, or my absolute favorite target right now, shadow AI. I'm actively hunting for unmonitored agentic frameworks like Langflow or N8N. I'm looking for exposed vector databases, think Pinecone or Qdrant, that are housing the highly sensitive data powering your generative AI. If I find these, boom, I can trigger a catastrophic knowledge base leak.
Finding one of these unsecured AI environments is literally like striking oil for an attacker. It's pure leverage, but for your organization, it is absolutely devastating. The data actually shows that a single shadow AI breach drives up incident costs by an average of $670,000. And you want to know the worst part? Because these are unsanctioned tools, you probably won't even know I was poking around until it's way too late.
Oh, and if you're sitting there thinking your web application firewalls have you covered, you might want to think again. 63.4% of off-cloud assets that collect sensitive PII entirely lack WAF protection. Nearly 2/3. That is a massive, gaping hole in your perimeter. For me, it means I can execute basic, super low-effort attacks, like SQL injections, right on the very pages where your users are typing in their most sensitive data.
Let's get to the fun part. Phase 3, the exploit. Dangling DNS and subdomain takeover.
This right here is the climax of the heist. This is where I don't just quietly steal your data, I hijack your entire brand and the inherited trust you've spent years building up. And wild enough, it all starts with a simple, super common mistake called dangling DNS. Let's define this so we're on the same page. It's a configuration error where your team deletes a temporary cloud resource, maybe just trying to clean up or save money, but they completely forget to remove the corresponding CNAME record from your company's DNS zone. So that record is just left dangling there, actively pointing to an inactive or unclaimed space on a third-party platform, like AWS, Heroku, or HubSpot.
Now, watch how this incredibly simple error builds into a devastating attack path. Step 1, your team leaves that CNAME dangling. Step 2, I simply go over to that third-party vendor and register a new asset with the exact same name. Instantly, I inherit your brand's domain name. Step 3, because I now control a subdomain of your legitimate corporate domain, I totally bypass your DMARC and SPF email validations. I can launch a massive, highly trusted phishing campaign or distribute malware, all operating right under the trusted guise of your brand.
So, the crucial takeaway here is this. A subdomain takeover weaponizes your hard-earned reputation. It leads directly to financial fraud and brutal market consequences. In fact, this specific exploit is a huge contributor to the global average breach cost, which right now sits at a staggering $4.88 million. One forgotten DNS record can literally cost you millions.
All right, time for Phase 4, architecting your defense. Let's flip the script back on the adversary.
Okay, I'm taking off the attacker's black hat now. We're defenders again. As defenders, we absolutely have to fundamentally change how we view our perimeter, architect certainty, and proactively shut this attacker playbook down for good. Like we talked about, legacy EASM is essentially blind. It relies on internal seed data, it's reactive, and honestly, it just drowns your security operations center in alert fatigue. We need to adopt the external adversary view, the kind of approach utilized by platforms like ThreatNG. This means conducting continuous, unauthenticated, outside-in discovery. It's comprehensive, it's proactive, and most importantly, it delivers decisive prioritization by showing you exactly what the attacker sees without relying on any of your internal assumptions.
To stop things like dangling DNS in their tracks, we really need to end the era of what security teams lovingly call multi-day manual fire drills. ThreatNG actually does this through a proprietary specific validation check. So instead of just flagging a CNAME and making your tired analysts go manually check if it's vulnerable, this capability actively cross-references the record against a validated threat catalog of over 60 commonly exploited vendors. It confirms in real time whether that CNAME is truly inactive and exploitable. It essentially turns chaotic manual searching into absolute certainty.
And when it finally comes to prioritizing those risks, ThreatNG replaces that awful anxiety of having to patch everything right now with a four-dimensional data model. First up, the foundation. NVD data provides your technical baseline. Second, probability. EPSS predicts the likelihood of exploitation in the next 30 days. Third, active threat. The KEV catalog confirms if it's actually being exploited out in the wild right now. And fourth, the ultimate validator, verified proofs of concept. Because look, if exploit code actually exists, the risk is no longer theoretical, right? By triangulating these four dimensions, all that raw vulnerability noise is seamlessly transformed into a decision-ready, legal-grade verdict.
By adopting this specific methodology, you secure what we call the defender's advantage. You get continuous, unauthenticated discovery. You receive an objective subdomain takeover susceptibility rating so you know where you stand. You can actively neutralize those shadow AI risks well before they trigger a massive breach. And crucially, this platform maps these external exposures directly to GRC frameworks. We're talking GDPR, HIPAA, and PCI DSS. This means you aren't just playing whack-a-mole with technical glitches, you are generating defensible, auditable evidence of your security posture to justify your strategy directly to the corporate board.
Which leaves us with one final, totally critical question to consider as we wrap up this explainer. Are you simply managing lists of theoretical vulnerabilities, or are you actually architecting a defensible posture against real-world external risk? Remember, the attacker is already out there mapping your blind spots. It's time to ensure you see them first. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I will catch you on the next explainer.